Hello and welcome to another Essex Boys Murder video. I'm going to cover Russell Tate in the next set of videos as I think he goes under the radar a little with this case. As we know, Russell is the brother of Pat Tate and by all accounts they did not get on most of the time. I have a source who is very close to me and they knew both brothers back in the mid-1990s. This source has told me that both brothers did resent their mother, Marie Tate. Marie Tate did a newspaper article shortly after the murder of her son, Patrick Tate, and in that newspaper article, Marie stated that she carried a note in her bag saying that if anything was to happen to her, it would have something to do with her son, Pat. My source has told me that this is utter rubbish and was made up to sell her story to the tabloids for monetary gain. My source makes sense because prior to Pat's death, he and his mother ran a brothel together in Southend. So why would she need to carry a note in her bag to say that if anything were to happen to her, then it would have something to do with her son Pat? It just doesn't make sense. My source has told me that Pat did resent his mother, but for other reasons to which I cannot divulge. I have to respect my source with information I am given. I am certainly not like other people who release their source names after TV shows are aired. So yes, Pat did resent his mother for reasons I cannot go into, but not to the extent of him wanting to harm her. Russell also resented his mother in the same way as Pat did. Now you'd have thought this would have brought both brothers closer together, but it did the exact opposite. At times, these two brothers had a deep hatred for one another. In 1988, Pat Tate attended Billericay Magistrates Court in connection with the Happy Eater restaurant robbery. He had no intention of waiting for the verdict and leapt out of the dock. Assaulted police officers on his way out, where a motorcyclist was waiting outside to help him escape the country. People think that it was Russell Tate who was the motorcyclist that day, but it wasn't. I do know who the motorcyclist was, but cannot disclose his name. What I can tell you is that back then, he was very well connected to the criminal underworld. My sources told me that Russell was devious, deceitful, and couldn't be trusted. My source's words, not mine. I do find it really strange that after his brother's murder, Russell Tate began to work with people that were arrested and charged with the murder of his brother. Prior to his death, Pat Tate and his consortium were working with drug importer Michael Steele and his men, bringing in relatively small amounts of cannabis into the country. It has been claimed that Russell Tate was involved in drug importations with Michael Steele prior to his brother's murder. Is that why Steele was pushing up the price of cannabis with Pat Tate before his death? Did Steele have another consortium to work with? After Pat Tate's death, his brother, Russell, filled his brother's void and carried on the drug importations, but on a much slick and grander scale. Russell Tate and Michael Steele did expand their drugs empire. Russell and his group would make frequent trips to Spain, Belgium, Gibraltar, Holland and France with large sums of cash to buy cannabis wholesale. After the triple murders, the Essex police set up Operation Sentry and put Russell Tate and Michael Steele's groups under surveillance. Essex police would keep tabs on Russell's group, who were taking trips to Spain, France, Gibraltar and Belgium, where they would catch ferries in their vehicles and take cash to buy cannabis wholesale. The group was Russell's old-time friend, David Soules. There was Elliot Christopher Brown, Catherine Rowings, Sarah Dalston, Craig Androkoulis, Ian Lindsay Kerr, Tracy Jane Rolston, Michael Andrew James, Ruth McCarthy, Laura Levitt, Robert Hudson, Mandy Dorwood, and I could go on mentioning more people who are linked to Russell Tate and this operation, but I won't. Russell's group was on a much larger scale than his brother, and it was much more organised. In Pat's group, there was Tony Tucker, who had put in the most and gained to get the most. Pat's all-time friend and car dealer, Barry Dorman, and it was also rumoured that the Blundell brothers had loaned Pat a large amount of cash that would be returned to them with interest after the importation was done. From Mick Steele's side, there was his partner, Jackie Street. Yes, his partner, Jackie Street, was involved. She drove the blue transit van on one occasion. There were Jack Worms, Darren Nichols, Peter Corey, Colin Bridge, Paul Gwinnett, and there were a few more, but I can't think of them at the top of my head. They were all arrested on the 13th of May 1996 for drug importation between the dates of the 25th of March to the 16th of April 1996. So I will finish here with this particular video, and in the next one I will go through what happened when they were arrested and taken into custody to be interviewed. Don't forget you can join my Facebook group, the Real Essex Boys Murder Group. Until next time, take care.